It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview Chris Lebron, who owns Off the Ball podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. Can you talk about how you got started with your sports podcasts?
I've always had a passion for sports, and going back, since forever. And I went to school for sports. I got my associate's degree in sports management, so it's kind of always been a passion of mine. Always try to figure out how to actually do a podcast. I dabbled in it a few times before, but never really could get like a full grasp of it. But I would say a year and a half ago, just went. I just told myself, hey, let's just go 100% in it. Let's see how it goes, and so far so good. It's can't complain. Definitely the show's definitely taken off more than I ever anticipated that it ever take off. I didn't think anyone would really care what I had to say, but now it's definitely doing very well now. So I'm really excited of how it's been.
That's wonderful that it's been taking off. How did you come up with the name Off the Ball?
Off the ball. Well, I'm big, like, with basketball, I'm big of moving off the ball. Like I always tell my teammates, got to move good off the ball, always talking about movement and moving without the ball and all that. And it's stuck. And I always said, if I ever do a podcast, that's what it's going to be. So I stuck with off the ball. I was going to go off my name since I have the LeBron name. And I was like, oh, no, that's kind of cheesy, you know, uh, so I'll just go with off the ball. So it kind of stuck. And then when I tried to figure out what the name of the show was going to be, I went with off the ball.
What are some of the segments that you have on the podcast Off the Ball?
Well, I have a lot of guests on the show. I'm pretty guest dominant when it comes to doing the podcast format. So I mean, it just varies. I've been doing a lot of NBA draft stuff lately. So on the last few shows, you could definitely catch a lot of talks. I've interviewed about 4 or 5 NBA prospects. So, just talking about the process and how their upbringing and all that. So that's what I talk about. I talk a lot of basketball for the most. I talk football here and some baseball, but I've kind of it's kind of been basketball dominant for a while now with the podcast.
Who are some of the people that you've interviewed in the past?
I've interviewed, like I said, I've interviewed a lot of NBA prospects. I've interviewed Leslie Varner, who's a big time prospect. I've interviewed uh, Isaiah Mike. I've interviewed Jordan Jackson. I've interviewed Eugene Herman. I've interviewed people. I've interviewed Jeff Pearlman, who just wrote Three Ring Circus. That book just came out. He's a big time author. I've interviewed a few guys, a lot of people, a lot of beat writers, local beat writers in New York. Yeah, just a lot of journalists, a lot of fellow podcasters that are in the game. So that's pretty much been the basis. But always working to get, trying to get some NBA guys on the show. That's my next goal, is try to get some NBA hoopers on the show.
Can you talk about your Off the Ball network?
Yeah, Off the Ball Network. I came up with that maybe a few months ago, and I always wanted to do have a network, and just never knew how to go about it. So I decided to I was a part of a network, so I kind of learned how everything goes as far as organization and getting the right team and how to structure everything. So I learned a little bit of that, and then just learning from other people's networks and all that, kind of took some base off that, and figured out, okay, then finally I knew I had people that I really wanted to be a part of it. So I pretty much got a team and said, let's do it. And I got a team with me, helping me out with everything. So it's been fun, and we got big things coming up. So I'm excited about the future of Off the Ball Network.
Can you talk about working with the sports stories with Denny Lennon?
Oh yeah, that was fun. That was a lot of fun. I had him on my show, and then I actually went on his show last week, which was pretty cool. To do. I was on his show talking about the New York City basketball scene and talking about the top high school players, from New York City. So that was fun. Yeah, Danny's a cool guy. He reached out to me and wanted to do something. He liked my work, so that was very cool of him. And no, he does great work there. So I was really excited for him to be on his show and to have him on my show. It was really cool. So hopefully we'll get to do a lot more stuff down the line.
Can you talk about the Nothing But Net radio that you've started?
Oh yeah, so I just joined the podcast got picked up by Nothing But Net radio channel on Dash Radio. So that my show will be on Dash Radio on 12 p.m. Eastern time on Mondays. So I'm excited about that. I just got word of the time, so now I know the time. I know when it'll happen. So that's something that I've been working on for a few weeks now, and now it's official with the time and date. So I'm excited about that, and this new opportunity to have more people listen to the show, worldwide on a bigger platform. So that to me, that's just so exciting. So I can't wait to have more people listen to the Off the Ball podcast, because it's definitely I've worked hard on this podcast and getting it to where it's been. So hopefully people get on a bigger platform get to enjoy the show while they can.
That's wonderful. Congratulations on getting onto the platform.
Yes, thank you so much.
What are some of your future plans for Off the Ball podcasts?
Just to have more people listen, just get more ears to the show. I think that's been the goal of mine, just improving as a host and and just keep working on my craft and getting better, because it's learning every day. Some people think that they know everything, but you learn something every day doing podcasting, and listening to other podcasters and seeing, okay, how do they do this, how do they work their transitions, how do they do how they work with guest and playing off the guest and all that. So I've learned so much. So I'm continue to learn about keep improving my podcasting skills, my hosting skills, and just hopefully just getting more people to listen to the show. I mean, with better content, better guests, better audio quality, all that stuff, I think it'll come. So but with this opportunity with Dash Radio and Nothing But Net, I think that's definitely coming soon. So I'm excited.
What advice would you give upcoming future sports talk podcasts that are just now starting?
What advice I would give them? Just don't give up. I think people get discouraged real early in the process, and you know, you, there's going to be a lot of downs. There's going to be ups. So you just can't let the downs get to you so much. I've heard a lot of people hit me up and said, "Man, I'm not getting the views I want, and I finally got some traction, right? And there's so many factors, right? It's actually producing a good show, advertising it, marketing it well, having good content, all those things factor in, and it takes time, but if you put the time and effort into it, you learn, good things will happen. So just be patient, and good things will happen. Like if you put this 100% into it, and you're patient, and you don't get down on the low times with this, because it could get frustrating doing this. You know, just be patient, and good things will happen.
Where can my listeners find Off the Ball podcast at?
You could find it on any platforms, on Spotify, it's on Google Podcasts, it's on iTunes. You could find it anywhere. I have a YouTube channel as well. You can find it there. Yeah, pretty much everywhere. I'm on Podbean too. You can find me on Podbean. Pretty much anywhere you listen to your podcast, you can listen to the Off the Ball podcast.
Thank you again, Chris, for your interview, and best of luck in the future with Off the Ball podcast.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Chris, for your interview, and best of luck.
All right, thank you so much.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.